All right, folks, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So my name is Kelly King. I am the account executive for Vaion here in North America. I also have Paul Zelko, our sales engineer, on with me. He'll be here to help answer any technical questions. Say hello, Paul.
Good morning, everyone.
So guys, a little bit about who we are. We're going to be talking about education today, but who we are as a company. We are a group of, our founders actually are a group of leaders that came from the video conferencing space with a history of building an amazing business around multi-vendor management, video, and interoperability. They ended up bridging with Cisco, and we have a cybersecurity parent company called Jazz Networks, and our goal here is to help put us in prime position to create one of the most secure video solutions on the market today. At our core, our philosophies are really to help improve operator experience. Our goal is to really, our goal is to really kind of deal with the issue of the challenge of too much video. Our operators need to be able to see the most important events as they're happening. So while people have been talking about going from reactive to proactive for so long, we have to be able to do that by creating a better sense of situational awareness through use of real-time alarms and anomalies, where our AI will actually understand what normal looks like. Now, at our core, we actually understand what people and vehicles look like, so we're gonna help kind of negate some of those false alarms related to weather, maybe animals, and really bring in some core capabilities around counting and searching to really help make some of those searches quite a bit easier. Now, all of those things can be tied into things like building automations. So I want you to think of us more as a VMS plus, because out of the box, you're going to get all the video analytics, you're going to get all the search capabilities for less than the cost of your traditional VMS. In our school districts, we deal with a lot of major concerns surrounding vandalism. Now, if you're like me and you're here in the Deep South, you know that football is a religion. So protecting some of our most valuable assets around stadiums, equipment, ensuring we don't have anybody coming in at times that they shouldn't be after hours. That might include things like that we deal with right now in social distancing, people coming in to use the playground when they shouldn't be because we're closed due to COVID. Really focusing in on real-time alarms around social distancing and crowds, loitering. Everyone knows we have an issue with vaping in our schools today. And then because of some of those counts that we're able to do live in real time, we can impact things like fire safety and the one that tugs at all of our heartstrings, active shooter. So no matter who views the information that's going to be coming in, whether that be one of our SOCs, maybe it's school police departments, or if you kind of lack some of those and it's just school administration that needs to view alarms, we want to really impact that viewing ability and really make sure that the things that can be done by the AI, some of the most mundane tasks are being done so we can focus on the most compelling and important video. So we're not going to be monitoring empty hallways. We want to present in dynamic views the things that are most important based on the presence of people and vehicles and the behaviors that they have. In fact, we're going to take it a step further and really nudge the operator and ask them to respond at your request to make sure that they're acknowledging those alarms as they're happening. Another way that we're going to nudge the operator is being able to filter in these alarms based on how important and mission critical they are to you, so that things like cries for help can come in before somebody just wandering the hallway. Now, once our schools start to open up, maybe this will be more relative to things like social distancing, and I've heard some folks saying that when we finally do open up, whether that be in August or December now, that could mean how many students we have per classroom. Maybe we only are allowed 10. We're going to continue to build on our philosophy for situational awareness by providing you smart maps in real time, live icons to show you the presence of people and vehicles and how they're moving throughout your campus, be able to track their paths, and impact things like fire safety with counts. In fact, in the state of New York, we actually have an RTEM certification for real-time energy management. So all of these things can even be tied into building automations. Now let's talk about a real world example. Let's say you're monitoring a school as an operator and you have a special needs child that needs to do some sensory play to calm down, but you don't want to disturb that. You have the ability to still track him, ensure his safety, and make sure that he's going back to class the way that he needs to by just seeing a dot on the map. Now you can really redirect your resources to where they need to be. This actually comes from a proof of concept that we're running in the Midwest with an academy. Now, say an incident does happen, or you do need to run a search and go back forensically. We really want to shorten the amount of time that you have to do that by using really smart search parameters to be able to filter out your best results, whether that be by appearance. Everybody's been talking about the guy in the red shirt forever, but let's be able to search by similarity. Let's be able to search by behavior, look for those events or objects, and actually place them on the map as well so we can track that person. Now, another example from our academy up in the Midwest is actually to be able to run one of these searches by looking for something that I don't think we've ever searched for before, a cleaning machine. It had gone missing, and what we needed to do is grab a stock image off the internet, something that looked relatively close, upload it, and run a search, see where the last place it was, see if we could actually find it. Now, because of the way that our platform is set up, we are metadata based and not compression based. So you're actually able to run all of these searches in a matter of seconds, not minutes, not hours, not days. And you don't have to be limited to the number of hours that you're searching for or searching through. You're not limited to the number of searches that you have to run a day. Now, everything that we have shown you so far, we're actually able to do on third-party cameras. In fact, 90% of our deployments today are utilizing that. But what you really gain from using our camera platform is the integrated audio analytics. What we're listening for are things like glass break, cries for help, gunshots, and other specified loud noises, even if it's not in the camera's field of view. We can actually receive that alarm even if it's behind the camera because we have a multi-sensor microphone array. So it allows us to understand what direction is forward, and we can provide you with sound analytics all around the camera. Now, we want to be able to give your officers that are walking around a little bit more understanding about situational awareness by providing everything in the palm of your hand that you can do in our report today, looking at managing your alarms, video playback, and viewing live video. But let's get a sense of the whole picture. Whether you are a school district that has to leverage your third-party existing platform cameras, we want to be able to provide video analytics on those, as well as leveraging the audio analytics in our camera line to really give you a better sense of situational awareness. In fact, we've tested a lot of those OEM DAWA and Hike Vision cameras, and even those perform well. So anything with an ONVIF profile is welcome to come in. Now, let's talk a little bit about licensing, because the next question I usually get after what does it do and how cool is that is how much do things start to cost? Well, we make our licensing very simple and easy by using a 1 per camera channel license, and that includes everything from your support, your analytics, and your VMS for less than the cost of your traditional VMS platforms, and you can put that on any camera. So let's take a look into software. So this is actually a browser-based system. So while you may have an appliance on site that's running all of your VMS storage and analytics, you can actually view your platform from anywhere. So whether you're centralized or decentralized, maybe your school administration that has to view something after hours, we make it really easy to be able to do everything. In fact, the cameras are one-click authentication to bring them in, so even setup runs really quick. Now, I mentioned anomaly. It does take about anywhere between 8 to 12 days to really understand what normal looks like. I know that will definitely play a bigger factor once our kids start coming back to school. But we make it really easy to view all of that video and get really good situational awareness from some of the motion histograms that we have down here at the bottom in our timeline. I can even open up that timeline and start to do some really quick video playback. And we're going to present the most dynamic and most compelling information. So what I actually have going on right now is a dynamic video wall, which is going to show me the presence of people and vehicles, so the most compelling video. But I can also have in a tabular format pulled out to the side. Maybe it's something that I watch all the time. Now, we want to nudge that operator. So you saw the yellow vignette actually pop up. This goes in to show where an anomaly or an alarm might be happening. And we can actually ask the operator to respond if there are videos that you would like to pin because you know you watch them often. By all means, set those up. You're not limited. You have options in terms of how many different layouts we can pull in and how many different views you can have. You can save those for easy viewing. Now, in each frame, you see the bounding box here actually showing us exactly what target is setting off that anomaly view. We even have someone here using the emergency exit. Where we really start to differentiate ourselves and set ourselves apart is, again, providing better situational awareness to the operator with some of those real-time AI rules based on bounding boxes and even counts. One thing I really love to point out about this when we start talking about counts, these are traditional security camera views. You don't have to install an overhead camera anymore to be able to get accurate counts. We're going to show you those numbers live here in the bottom of the screen, and we can even tally them. Where we really start to understand about how people and vehicles are moving on our campus is when we start talking about our smart maps. We can have cameras placed and dropped, but let's add a little bit more information. Let's show those fields of view. Let's show where we may have emergency exits, defibrillators, or maybe the presence of people and vehicles. Icons moving live around on screen so you have an exact idea of where they are. And while I might not have any vehicles pop up right now because we're looking at an internal map, they'll show up on my external maps. I'll show you here in just a minute. If I want to see the path in which people and vehicles are taking, or even get an accurate count, they'll populate down here at the bottom. I can actually open up my timeline and kind of scrub through and get a really good idea of situational awareness. I'm going to pin this guy out to the side. One over here as well, and you can see the counts popping up. Again, traditional security camera views. If I click into this guy, when he comes back around, we'll be able to see that as he gets farther and farther away from the screen, it actually zooms in automatically. And it'll populate again here in just a minute. There he is. You can see the path that he's taking. And it really makes it easy for the operator to get a sense of exactly what's going on. I can actually run a search directly from in this pane. Or in another tab, I can open up and run a search here. If I know something happened on my campus, but I'm not quite sure what the person looked like, maybe I know that something went missing from one of our computer labs. And I just know that it happened in the last month. Sometimes that's all we have to go offer. You don't always get the privilege of knowing that it's the guy in a red shirt. I can select exactly what target type. And maybe I know that it happened in the last month, and that's all I know. Can select my time frame. And all I have to do is hover, saving a lot of time for the operator and understanding, okay, maybe that's my guy. My monitor went missing. Now let's expand to everything on the second floor. See if we can find out where this gentleman went. Now, we came up with 207 results, but now that we have an idea of what he looks like, let's narrow it down a little bit to only the people that look like him. By clicking similarity, and I can also change to recency if I want to see the last place that he was. But if I'm doing an investigation, I can save myself a lot of time by going through, doing a quick hover, and seeing that maybe he put it on Paul's desk about a week ago. So now we really want to take a moment to impact that case management, whether we need to send this to off-campus police, maybe we need to share it with a parent for proof of behavior. I can export that, digitally authenticated and watermarked, name it, enable that password, bringing in some of those best practices from our cybersecurity sister company, or I can even share a link. So thinking on some of those best practices, you don't want to have to download a proprietary player. Sometimes you don't want to have to hand it off on a USB drive or a CD. It's very easy to name the link, decide how long I want to let that link live. Maybe I give it a password. And then since we're browser-based, it's very easy just to open up another tab. My preferred browser is Google Chrome. You're welcome to use whatever policy may dictate. Enter my password, and boom, it's that easy. So going back in, let's take a look at vehicles. If I want to take a look at my parking area, my parking lot, make sure that we're not having any break-ins, we're able to understand exactly where those cameras are facing, understand exactly how these vehicles are moving. And when I click into that icon, I can actually see exactly which vehicle it's talking about. Again, I can run the search directly from there. But I want to take a moment to explain exactly how easy it is to set up some of these counts and some of these rules. All I have to do is hit the plus button. In this case, I'm just going to edit an area because I can download that CSV. Again, thinking about folks that may need some of that information in operations. Maybe if we're talking outside of schools, maybe marketing, or maybe we need to understand what traffic looks like at our stadiums during a football game. Now we can utilize that information to actually impact our academic experience. If I edit that area, I can decide when I want to set those count rules, or maybe those real-time alarms. I can decide which direction is in and out and have it total. When looking at rules, one thing I think that's very important to understand is information for the sake of information isn't always valuable. So being able to filter in the important level of those views is really going to help impact your operator experience. So I see some questions coming through. We'll definitely take a moment to answer that at the end. Now let's take a moment to see a few other ways that we can really understand what alarms are coming through. We can actually go through, again, I mentioned that you could base that on importance. You can come in and have those folks acknowledge alarms. When we're setting these up, if I go back under rules, it's also very good to understand that there's no calibration that you have to do. No one's standing in the field of view with the yardstick anymore trying to figure out, how many pixels per foot. Makes it very easy when it comes to installing. I can decide when I want to set that up. Maybe it's nobody should be on my playground after hours, or it's shut down during COVID. And then I can decide how I want to receive that information, whether it's a pop-up, maybe it's an email that goes to administration, maybe we're webhooking into Microsoft Teams or a third party, and whether acknowledgement is required. So in the time that we have left, I want to open it up for a little bit of questions and anything that Paul would like to add. Let's see, we have some that are coming through here. Question number 1. Do you manufacture your own cameras? If so, in what country? We're not an OEM. We do manufacture our own cameras. We design them, so nobody else has that design, but they do come out of Taiwan. They are TAA compliant. Paul, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think Kelly, you hit on the high points, and just to kind of summarize what she's speaking to, we really kind of bucket our differentiators into 3 categories, and just to kind of reinforce what she showed you today is the live operator aid by presenting the most compelling video, nudging the operator with anomalies, and then creating customized alerts to the specific business needs. And then we can give you business intelligence and situational awareness through the use of smart icons and smart timelines and the plotting of those objects on maps and also into count rules. And then the ability to aggregate that data and get it from an exportable file. And then lastly, the ability to do smart forensic search capabilities very efficiently and very accurately, get the information you need in real time very quickly.
Thank you, Paul. Next question. What kind of anomalies are available with Vaion? Can I see if people are on school property after hours? Can I see if students are congregating on a playground for social distancing, smoking, or vaping? Yes. So anomalies are actually based on what the AI deep learning will study and understand is normal for that campus. You can impact that by helping it understand what you would like to consider normal. But yes, if you don't decide to set up any rules for people hanging out on the playground after hours, the anomaly will understand that that's not normal and provide an alarm. But if you know that something is going to be of concern like that, you're more than welcome to set up a real-time rule to reinforce it. Question number 3. Does your vehicle analytics include bicycles? Yes. We are going to continue to add more target types as time goes on. I think one of the stories that really impacts me whenever I first started to come on board is actually that our live maps actually came from a customer request during a POC. R&D really took that comment to heart and was able to turn around the smart maps that you see in our platform today. Next question. Is video stored in the cloud or on-prem? Do you offer cloud-based services in Canada or alternatives to US data centers? Canadians don't like the NSA. So we actually have a hybrid system. There is an appliance that you will have on site based on your storage and analytic needs. I want you to consider it kind of like an appliance because it's kind of a little bit more than an NVR because it does have those GPUs in there. So that's really what's doing all of your processing and storage. But it's a hybrid cloud in the sense that you can centralize that management in the browser and really do that from anywhere. Paul, I'm going to let you. I was going to say, I want you to take the second half of that question.
Yeah, I was going to expand on that a little bit. So yeah, you nailed it for the first part. So currently our offering is an appliance-based with our cameras or third-party cameras. But next quarter, we are targeting the release of our cloud offering, and our first iteration of our cloud offering will be on our cameras. We will have storage and the processing capabilities. So the storage will be on our devices. And then the quarter after that, we're targeting the release of cloud storage. So cloud storage is on a roadmap. It's not available yet, but we do have a cloud offering that's coming out early next quarter.
Thank you so much for expanding on that. So next question, will your analytics work with any camera placement? Does your approach get influenced by motion, pixel change like rain or snow, shadows, or animal movement? So at our core, we do understand and we have trained, those understanding of the target types at every angle for people in vehicles. So we are ignoring things like animals. We're ignoring things like rain, weather, snow, shadows, things like that. But as far as camera placement and whether the approach gets influenced by, some of those motions, I'm going to let Paul take a deeper dive to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so Kelly did a great job showing how easy it is to set up a count rule in our system, and the reason for that is think back to what she first presented, which is our ability to identify objects, specifically people and vehicles. So we know what an object is, and you saw that in the demonstration by the blue bounding boxes for people and the purple bounding boxes for vehicles. So for our analytics to work and examples of our counting and things like that, it is just the tracking of that object crossing a linear plane that we create on the camera field of view. So to her point, things like weather, things like blowing trees, those are disregarded because they're not identified in the system as objects. Now they can still record on that activity if you so choose. If you want to disregard that and only record on object-based recording, then you can do that as well. But you don't get the interference in your analytic performance from things like snow, blowing trees, rain, things like that.
Now, Paul, what about camera placement? Does that influence any of our analytics?
Well, I think you hit on it earlier, Kelly, in the demonstration. Because we know what an object is and we're just looking for it to cross a linear plane, the traditional camera fields of view work much better than trying to do a top down. Imagine trying to identify an object as a person or a car if you've got a straight overhead shot and only a 10 by 10 foot field of view. It's very difficult to pick up an object in that. And it's not a useful camera field of view for anything other than some sort of analytic performance like people counting or trip line measurements. So because we can get that off of a traditional camera field of view, we haven't seen any problems in the performance of our system using the traditional camera field of view. As a matter of fact, it works better than trying to use top down.
Awesome. Now that's definitely something different. I have another question here. With one channel per license, so is that 3 licenses for 180 camera because they use 3 video channels? What about 360s? Paul?
Yep. So there's 2 types of cameras. You've got your 360s or your multi-sensors, which can provide you 4 fields of view in a 360-degree field of view. And then you've got your panoramic fisheyes. We treat both of those the same way. So it's a single IP address. It's a single camera license connection. It's per IP address camera connection licenses.
And that is 1 license per channel per year. So if you think about it, you know, it just makes it very easy for licensing. There's no, you know, licenses for integrations. There's no management server. There's no client workstation server. You don't have to get a license for any of that. We don't license by user, or I think what's also really wonderful is we don't license by the number of analytics that you choose to use. You can literally put it on everything. It's not going to make a major difference to some of your storage just simply because we are metadata based and we're not doing a ton of compression. So I think that'll also impact some of your hardware. Our next question is, can I have one camera counting inbound traffic and another counting outbound, and have those numbers work together to alert me if there are more than however many people in our facility? I know that might be different because of what we're dealing with COVID. The answer is yes, we can absolutely have one counting inbound at one entrance and one counting outbound and at exit and aggregate those totals. Be able to provide an alarm based on if we're starting to exceed a particular number.
Yeah, Kelly, I'd like to add on that. So think of your traditional department store where you've got an entrance or 2 entrances and people can come in and out of both of them. One camera's counting its ins and outs, the other camera's counting its ins and outs, and then you can create a rule against that or a count against that that gives you the aggregate total. You can also create the rule that says if the occupancy exceeds 100 from the aggregate total of the devices that are being counted, if the occupancy exceeds, you can get an alert on your phone, you can get a pop-up on the screen, you can hook into a third-party application through a webhook. But the other thing I want to stress on that is just, it's not limited to 1 camera, it's not limited to 2 cameras. You could put 4 cameras, 5 cameras. So if you've got a garden center and you've got an outdoor area and there's 4 different points of entry, you can get an occupancy count several different places aggregated into one total, one rule alerting you to the total count that's in your building.
Now, I'm going to add on to that a little bit more, because not only can we have that as a pop-up, we can actually show that on a map as well. We can actually be really specific about our fields of view as well. So if I go into my counts and I go into objects fields of view, maybe I want to do an employee count of the West Wing, I can be really specific about which part of the field of view I really care about. If that area of interest is really over here, but I don't care about this area, maybe this is my front desk and this is the number of parents waiting to pick up their children, we're able to get a really accurate count there. As we start to look into how we impact other parts of school districts, if we look at stadiums, maybe this is the number of people waiting in line by doing counting, or maybe it's how many people, block a certain exit and we need to do some crowd control. There's a lot of different ways that we can take and look at that. All right. Oh, do we have a mobile application? Yes, we actually do have a mobile application. It will be available for Android and Apple iOS. We actually have the ability to do a lot of the things that we do in our thin client that you see here, whether that be monitoring live video, handling alarms, or even video playback. Early on, you mentioned that you are a VMS. Could you talk about what you meant by that? Also, would your solution completely replace a VMS like Milestone, XProtect, or Genetec? So we have a lot of deployments right now where we're actually running side by side, but there is currently no integration for other VMS products. We are a video management system with analytics that come right out the box, but we will have an integration to PSIMs like SureView coming here soon. Paul, why don't you take the rest of that and talk a little bit more about some of our VMS capabilities and what we're going to do with that.
Yeah, so as a VMS, it's a video management software. We're managing video at our core. We manage the cameras. We create rules against those cameras and activity. We've talked about some examples of how we can interface with third-party apps through building management software, through access control. We are building those integrations as we speak. The question, would your solution completely replace a VMS like Milestone, XProtect, or Genetec? The answer to that is that is the intent. We believe that our solution provides everything that they can do, live video, recorded video, but we give all of the analytics and the intelligence behind it without having to bolt on third-party applications for smart search capabilities or rule counting or anything like that. So we are VMS at the core with the intelligence as part of our base package, and we look at ourselves as a direct replacement to those offerings. But I want to stress as well, some people have been very interested in our search capabilities and certain feature sets of offering. And Kelly mentioned we've run side by side in opportunities where we're running side by side with a Milestone or a Genetec system.
Yeah, we have some folks with various security operations centers that will actually just have us up in another monitor so they can use some of our smart and live maps, be able to monitor things like anomalies. We're able to pop up some of those alarms and really nudge the operator. So if we are running side by side, we'll be able to give them a little bit more of that situational awareness. The next question was, how do storage costs work and where is the data physically stored? So currently today, because of our hybrid system, the data is physically being stored on site. We will have a full-blown cloud offering coming soon, which I know Paul touched on a minute ago, that will allow you to do a appliance-less deployment. But how does storage costs work? We have multiple different options as far as some of the appliances that we offer. Paul?
Yeah, so we have the appliance range is we go down, to a server that will support up to 16 cameras for small businesses, small education facilities where they don't need a lot of cameras, even in retail. And then we have servers that will support up to 75 cameras, 100 cameras, or 200 cameras. So we can support as little as 2, 3, or 4 cameras on a server, all the way up to 200 cameras on a single server. And then kind of along the same lines, I thought I saw another question here similarly. Yeah, the next question actually is, what's the capacity of your appliances? So the largest appliances that support 100 and 200 cameras respectively have 168 terabytes raw. It's 12 hard drives by 14 terabytes. Figure for 20% overhead for the redundancy. And then our 75 camera support, the V1000, will support up to 56 raw, and then our smallest one will support about 42 terabytes raw.
And as far as how we manage multi-site deployments, we make it really easy. You have the appliance on site, but managing those you do through our browser-based system. So we allow for centralized management there. You also have the ability to cluster those appliances if you have more than 200. So if you do have bigger sites, don't worry, we can tie those all in together.
Yeah, and one of the points I want to emphasize about that is the difference between our 100 capability and our 200 capability is a second GPU. But go find another VMS provider out there, or even an analytics that wouldn't require a dedicated server separately to add to get the feature sets that we're delivering in a single appliance.
That's a really big deal, I think, Paul, because when you think about bolt-on options to make other VMS competitors a little bit more intelligent, you're going to have to do that. How difficult is it to configure analytics, and do I have to calibrate each camera? I love this question so much. It is very, very easy to be able to create rules and be able to add those in. The anomaly is going to go ahead and start learning on its own, but no, you don't have to calibrate any camera. That means that we're actually going to help cut down on those labor costs and really make it easier to maintain. If you need to add in new rules, maybe based on occupancy or social distancing, it's very easy to do that, and you don't have to be on site to do it. The next question is, my school resource officer is not tech savvy. Can I set up a user account for him that allows him to use the features without breaking anything? Absolutely. So you're more than welcome to set up as many users as you like and be able to actually provide them with various permissions. So if they need to have read-only, but they can't download, maybe they can view live video but can't export, we make that really easy to do. You can put them into different groups. You can manage their roles, decide exactly if they're administrators or users, and you can do that all remotely. Next question was, can I use vehicle counts for my parking structure? Can I get alerts and counts to display with red, yellow, and green lights? Paul, I'm going to let you take that one because that one's one we can dive a little bit more deeply on technically.
Yeah, so the vehicle counts much the same way in the scenario that we talked about with a store or a facility that has several points of entry. You can do the same rules with the camera view that's covering all the entrance points of like a parking deck or a parking lot. So you can get those same kind of count rules created. You can get the same types of alerts, and then the red, yellow, green light. We have a RESTless API that we can work in with third-party software, sometimes free. We actually just saw a demonstration of it working earlier this week, where when the count approaches occupancy, let's talk specifically to the parking deck. Maybe you've got 85 spots and you've approached 75. You can go yellow and let it know that that parking deck is near capacity. And then when it reaches its capacity at 85, then it can flip it to red. So we have that ability as well.
We can do that internally with people as well, just to kind of highlight. Next question is, I saw you can detect cars. Can I also detect bicycles and bicycle theft? Yes, our AI will actually understand bicycles as a target type, and we can actually search for those. You can go back and do a search and find out when the last time that is there. You can do that in a few different ways. If it happened recently, it's very easy to be able to open up a timeline, be able to scrub backwards. You can also run a search from looking for a particular vehicle. If you have an image of that bicycle that you want to upload, you can upload it as well, just similarly to the way that we did with our floor cleaner. Next question that we have here is, do we have to use the appliance or can we use third-party servers? So today we can use the appliance. We're not open to third-party servers, and that's because we want to help control the experience. You know, sometimes people cut corners when it comes to what they want to put in some of those servers, and we want to make sure that we are giving our software the best chance that it can to perform at the level that we know that it can based on what we have installed. Paul, is there anything other that you want to add to that that might be valuable on why we use our appliances over third-party servers?
No, Kelly, you nailed it. We want to control the experience. We don't want to see corners cut. We have a spec. At this time, we're not looking to offer up the spec for computer off the shelf build. That way we can control the experience.
Now, I'll dive in a little bit deeper to that. It is a Dell box with a Linux backbone, so kind of bringing in some of those best practices from our cybersecurity background. And it is a 5-year Dell service tag, so I know that that'll make a lot of our IT managers at school districts happy. The next question I have as we start to kind of close out based on time constraints is, do I need a clustering server or an admin server? No, you do not. Next question I have is, do servers support any third-party storage, SANs, NAS directed attached? Paul?
Yeah, not at this time, and the reason for that primarily is because when we do the analysis historically, when we search video, reaching out across the network or to a third-party device to grab that for the analysis portion would make it taxing. We are developing and working on that, and it is something that we're looking at for the future. But at this time, it is storage on our appliance or storage on our cameras.
Thank you. Next question I have is, do you have a migration path from an existing VMS like Milestone or Genetech to your platform, like database extraction wizard or something similar that we can pull existing camera data into your system? Paul, do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we don't have that currently, and it's actually come up a couple times and we're looking at it. However, what I will say is that because we're looking for an ONVIF profile from third-party cameras, if it's got a good ONVIF profile, we do have a discovery tool built in, and it's very easy to manage usernames and passwords in our system for the cameras. So if you've got a disparate type of array of camera manufacturers out there and you want to go out and do a mass enrollment, you can do it very easily on our system. It does not take a lot of effort. The other thing I want to stress as well is if it's on our system, if it's not going to be running in conjunction with anybody else, we can set our interaction to active mode, which means our server is dictating to the camera what it needs with regards to the resolution profiles for the streams, for live video, recorded video, and analytic video. So all of that can be done from our server very easily. It's really, for lack of a better phrase, a built-in discovery tool.
Thank you so much for diving into that, Paul. Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and have to start wrapping up due to time. But if you do have more questions, if you'd like to reach out and hear a little bit more about us, I definitely encourage you to do so. I'm going to go ahead and put my contact information up here at the very bottom end of the screen. Feel free to reach out to us. We want to be able to answer any more of those questions and get you in touch with the person in your area. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks very much, everyone.